Well, firstly, thank you so much for rejoining me here on the channel. Another exciting and insightful episode with a racing driver who is based in Bavaria in Germany, has only been racing for 18 months, and here is part of his story that has been told so far. My name's Alex Goldschmidt, the host, as you know, of Commentator's Corner, and we're going to go behind the wheel with my good friend, Levin Gelf. It's time for an episode, so strap yourselves in and hold on for this roller coaster ride because let's get to it. This is Commentator's Corner. Firstly, Levin, it's so good to see you after Misano last year at the season finale of Porsche Sports Cup and Sprint Challenge Suisse, which we know didn't go according to plan, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on the episode. But you've got a very, very busy schedule. Creventic 24, Porsche Sports Cup Suisse, Porsche Sports Cup Deutschland, and you've got a really, really good teammate and also driver coach in the signs of Janis Fischer at Seebach Motorsport. How are you doing, firstly? It's good to see you after a long, long time, my friend.
Well, first, thanks for having me. I'm doing pretty well so far. And you forgot to mention the Southern Europe.
Yes, well, that was the first thing, because I was going to say congratulations on your recent podiums. And you've also, I think one of the good things is that the season opener for Porsche Sports Cup Suisse, 11th of April, we head to the Algarve, where you've already been this year, I understand. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Portimao again. It's a nice place to be. It's very uphill, downhill. In terms of that, pretty much like the Nordschleife, which I do enjoy on the sim, and I'm very eager to drive there someday in real life. And yes, it's good to have sort of a jump start ahead of the others, because I've already been there.
Yeah. But let's start with regards to the fact of the apple not falling very far from the tree in the Gelf family. Your father Frank has done a lot of racing. I bet it was a case of, like, when you said, "Dad, I want to go racing," what was his first reaction?
Actually, I've not been too much interested in cars or motorsports in general. I liked it. I've watched Formula One with him when I was a kid, and but it was never sort of this fanatic state. Yeah, when 2020 and COVID came, got this sort of bullshit Logitech steering wheel and pedals for $30 to play the F1 game back then on the Xbox, and yeah, that's when it started getting to me. And time after time, I got the big sim setup and iRacing and all that stuff, and got pretty good at it. And then I had the opportunity to drive a Cupra TCR car at Ascari in Spain at a Mechatronic event. I don't know if you know Mechatronic. It's a car company from Stuttgart.
Yep, I've heard of them.
Like big sales house and stuff. And they did an event there and invited us. And the guy from Mechatronic said, "Hey, we could put you in a Cupra TCR. Do you want to have a go?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Of course." That's when my dad saw, all right, this all sim stuff, it's not that far off reality. And I was pretty quick. And in September 1st, I had a test day with my now team Seebach on the Cayman GT4 in Hockenheim. And 10 days after, I had my first race in Spa.
That's definitely out of the frying pan and into the fire there, Levin, to be honest with you.
That was into the shark tank. I remember sitting there in the grid when, like, at the 3-minute board, my mechanic left the car and I was just standing there with 20 other idiots with too much horsepower up their ass, and I was thinking, like, yeah, what exactly am I doing here?
Yeah, what have I signed up for? Am I really as crazy as some people think that I am? It's kind of the same with me, like saying you must be crazy being behind the microphone, but when you have the passion for it, when you love what you do, you are going to do everything come hell or high water. But obviously your season in 2026 has gone off with a bang with the Porsche Sprint Challenge Southern Europe, which you got a couple of back-to-back weekends coming up, I see, which is going to be Valencia and then Barcelona. You know, and you're in the rookie division, so things are looking pretty good. A couple of P2s. We can see the newly acquired trophies in the background. How does it feel that I mean, there's two questions I really want to ask you. Obviously, having the Porsche Sprint Challenge Southern Europe as a tune-up for Sportscup Deutschland, Sportscup Suisse, and of course the Creventic series, which is a series that is growing ever more in popularity, especially with the 992 GT3 Cup cars, which are the now 2.0 folks, if you know your Porsche terminology, because the 992.2 Cup cars have made their debut in Porsche Carrera Cup Middle East, which is run by the Lechner brothers. Then we're going to have Mobil 1 Super Cup. Six Carrera Cup Deutschland will also have those cars, which will have ABS and traction control. But you must be feeling in a pretty good frame of mind now, having got those podiums, because you've been to Portimao, Estoril, and then it's two back-to-back Spanish circuits ready to go racing when, with regards to Porsche Sportscup Suisse, where I know you'll be more than likely going to be doing Open GT again, where you got a P2 and you got a podium in Mugello in late last year. Because obviously there's going to be a couple of clashes, which we'll get onto as well, where you've decided you're going to concentrate more on Porsche Sports Cup Suisse, but you're still going to do the majority of Sports Cup Deutschland this year. How important is it for a driver like yourself, especially when you're getting coaching from Jannes, your teammate, on having to learn on the fly? How's that been working for you in the preparation for this year?
So Jannes and I got to know each other at Monza, I think it was last year, and we got along well pretty quickly. He's a pretty dry guy, to be honest. But as soon as you get to know him, he opens up, and he's a very good guy. And I love to work with him because he's very straightforward. He's not telling me, "Yeah, it's all great what you did. You're so good." If it was bullshit, he's telling me that was just not good. You have to do it better, or how I'm gonna do it better. That's very important to me because I've seen drivers, especially in Porsche Sports Cup Germany. I'm not gonna name any name, and I've just seen their coaches saying, "Yeah, that was great. You did so well," but they didn't. They caused crashes and accidents. Where I think, yeah, you have to tell your driver how to do it, and that's what Janus is doing, and he's doing it pretty well. He's really quick. Doesn't matter if he's been at the track or not. He's gonna hop in. I did 3 or 4 good laps, and I think, yeah, that was pretty solid. And he's going to jump in the car and demolish my time by 1.5, 2 seconds. And I'm always like, yeah, thank you for that. But yeah, we're a good team. It worked out pretty well in all the endurance races we did. Unfortunately, not Misano, the night race. I think would have been pretty successful because I was pretty well on pace this weekend. But yeah, I love working with him.
I think that's always a good sign when you got someone of Yannis' as credentials that can go out there and just put in an absolutely blistering lap, and you're like saying, right, I've got a lot to learn. But at least you've got the right person, not just as your teammate, but also as your coach, to say, okay, this is what I want you to focus on. That's also quite, I think in some respects, there are some racing drivers that will say, yeah, I'm not going to listen to that, because some drivers, when they get into a new category, they feel infallible. Where, yeah, I can do everything and I can do it well, and then they get shown up in the first weekend they're out on track. They go out for qualifying, and then they wonder why they're a second and a half or 2 seconds off the pace a lap. It's always an ongoing process when it comes to learning, because no two race weekends, even if you've been to the track before, Levin, are the same.
No, it's not. It's just I've had like Red Bull Ring was pretty tight last year. This year it's a back-to-back weekend from Swiss and Germany. So we're going to stay down there in Austria. It's not because, let alone the weather can change. And then it's a whole different situation. We've had that. The Swiss weekend at Red Bull Ring was pretty much all sunshine and good weather. And we got there in Sports Cup Germany, and it just poured down. It was just wet, wet, wet. So,
Yeah. That, like you say, that's another thing. Then there's also folks from looking from behind the scenes, or hinter die Kulissen, as we would say in Germany. Like, say, if there's a technical issue with the car, if the engine's not firing right, if the gearbox is playing up, there's so much that the team, like the mechanics who, the mechanics that work on yours and Yanis's car at Seebeck Motorsport, they are so many of the unsung heroes that are not given enough credit for the amount of hard work that they do, because you're the one that's going out there and saying, okay, I can make this work, but they're the ones that are saying, okay, right, we're seeing this, we're seeing that, what do you need changing on the car? And there are sometimes when the guys at the garage, they're working to like 2, 3 in the morning. Like, if there's been a big hit on the car, let's say the left front's taken a smack against the barriers, you've got upright, you've got suspension, you've got axle shafts, brake pads, discs, paneling. There's so much that these people, they love the sport as much as we do, but they are the ones that are, as soon as I walk out of a paddock and I go to my hire car, the first people I normally go over to say, hey, great job, it's normally the mechanics I speak to first if I know them.
Yeah, I can only say the same thing about what you just said, because we had such a weekend in Oschersleben last year, where also this beautiful back wing comes from.
Mm-hmm.
First day crash in turn 3 right after the start. The whole front end was pretty much done. And the guys worked till, I think, 2 in the morning. We're all tired. One was sleeping on a bench the next day during the endurance race. Luckily, we didn't have to do any big pit stop with tire changes. But yes, they don't get the credits as much as they should. I try always to thank them and show that I'm thankful for what they're doing, that I really appreciate it. And luckily, this team is insane in terms of just pure knowledge and skill, since Marco Seebach, my team boss, has its company with all car tech and stuff, and repairs and restorations and stuff. So it's their everyday business, and they're schooled for motorsport stuff, and especially Porsche cars. And I've got like 3 just car masters on my car working, and Marco as well did a lot of car racing and karting when he was young. I think he started with 5 or 6 years old, and he just knows a lot about setting up the car, especially tire pressures, camber, all that stuff. I just tell him how I felt in the car, and he knows what to do, and he always finds like a compromise between mine and Yannis' driving style, since, yeah, of course, Yannis is a lot more aggressive with the car because he just got much more experience than I do.
Yeah, I mean, let's cast your memory back to the first time you got behind the wheel of a 718 Cayman GT4 RS, and you started that engine, and you thought, what were your first thoughts? Be honest, just because, as you said, you had the Cooper TCR test in Hockenheim, which is 3 hours north of where you live in Ravensburg at the moment, which is in Oberschwabia, which is just which is one of the localities near Baden-Württemberg. What were your first thoughts when you fired that flat 6 boxer engine into life and you went, this sounds good? What were the real emotions that were going through your mind at that moment before you ended up going out and racing?
To be honest, not too much. I got out and I was just quickly having fun. I think that what stuck with me from that day, just fun. It was not about like times or positioning or all that stuff. It was just about learning, having fun, and that's also something I enjoy about like track days, just for testing, because it's not that stressful. But when I'm at a track day, I miss exactly this stress from a race weekend, that competition, that hard pressure of like, it's demanding you, and you have to perform, and that's what I miss on a track day. And when I'm on a race weekend, I think like, track day now would be nice. Just go home in 2 hours, and
Yeah.
Just sort of blow out the cobwebs, no pressure, just smile on the face, behind the visor, and just go, yeah, just time to have a little bit of fun, not worry about anything, just enjoy myself behind the wheel of the car. But when it comes to qualifying on Porsche Sports Cup Suisse, I think the only round that we do that is not on a Saturday is Imola, because I think it was, because I missed that round last year.
I wasn't there. I wasn't there. I was at the 24 hours of Nürburgring.
Yeah, so there's only one round, folks. Porsche Sports Cup Suisse does things a little bit differently. So everyone goes home normally on the Sunday. Not at Imola. It's Sunday race day, I've been reliably informed. But, you know, when it comes to a weekend, let's take, for instance, Porsche Sports Cup Suisse, where you arrive, you do your track walk, then there's the first sort of like unofficial practice day, then it goes into the official test days. Then there's the Schmetterling im Bauch, like the butterflies in the stomach. And it's not just for racing drivers, not for like Levin. You know, for me as well, like literally as I get told, okay, you're on in 5, you're live in 5, 4, and it's like, hello everybody, you know. So there's always that. When it becomes a race day, a very, very different feeling is normally apparent, because it's like, okay, right, now I've got to put down that fast lap. I've got to listen, I've got to remember what...
There's a lot of tension. Yeah.
There is, because everyone gets to the track early, everything's been buttoned up on the cars, everything's been made sure that everything's looking pristine, because the cars at the beginning of the race day, folks, pristine. By the end of the race day, as you can see by Levin's rear wing, from Oschersleben last year, it doesn't always end up working out that way. But in terms of, do you have any sort of, I wouldn't say superstitions, but are there any sort of like things that you do to try and calm your nerves down ahead of going in for qualifying for a race? Is there a specific way that you do certain things?
To be honest, no. I don't walk around with my headphones on, and nobody can speak to me, and just leave me alone. No, I'm a team player. I'm a very family-based person, if you want to say it like that. I need people around me, and I like having people around me. And as I said, just having all the boys, they've become like family by now, and we do stuff in our free time. I go up to Frankfurt to visit them. So just being with them, seeing them working on my car, as I trust them, just gives me like that calmness that I need. Of course, in front of every race, you're excited, and there's always a little bit of just being scared, because accidents are not nice, and you can't be too scared, of course, because then you're gonna be slow. But you need some type of respect. You have to handle it with respect, since it is dangerous. That always stays with me. I'm not gonna put it away and be like Rocky and just go like bam through the wall, because then you're not gonna end the race in most cases. So no, I don't have like a ritual or something. Before the race, I mostly drink some ISO drinks or electrolytes to just get fluid in me, and yeah, so that's basically it.
Yeah, so get the isotonic or electrolyte drinks down your throat, get the hydration in key, and then that's able to help you centralise and focus when you get in that car, strap in, then the grid gets cleared, shut the door, and then you're in your own sort of tunnel vision, concentrating on what's happening. But obviously, you mentioned about accidents. Let's have a look back at, obviously, Open GT Race 2 at Misano. Now, I'm going to put the context in first of all, whereby I noticed that Levin had the hazard lights on his car and was coming to a complete stop, which says to me drivetrain or gearbox related. He comes through the corner. All of a sudden, Sadamoto Takahashi hits Levin at full speed up the rear of his 992.1 GT3 Cup car, which then caused Dragos Buriu to go firing off to the right-hand side of the circuit. So his car was an absolute mess, which then meant that him and Jaap van Lagen had to borrow a car from Trackside Performance, which I found out from Joe Warhurst, who was coaching the team that weekend. But we caught up, Yumi and Florian, who's the cup manager for Porsche Sports Cup Suisse, at the awards evening. We've kept in touch via WhatsApp that you said that it wasn't your fault, but still you got blamed by the individual that caused said accident. Just recollect for me, apart from that part of the situation, which is, by the by, it's past tense, can you tell me what you could remember from the moment of impact until you came to the awards night that evening?
So that all came after, like, 2 or 3 weeks after. It was pretty much all gone. There was another race before this one. I couldn't remember anything from that. What I then remembered was, of course, all that stuff that happened before. It all came back, seeing photos, videos and stuff that helped a lot. What I remember was contact in that tight right-hand corner before that triple right and the main straight back.
Yeah.
To start finish. There was a slight contact. I was on the inside. Joel Monegro was on the outside and he turned in. Maybe I was miscalculating it. I don't know who was at fault, and I don't want to put anyone at fault there. It was just a racing incident. But my tie rod broke down, and that's what caused my wheel to just do the flappy stuff in the wheel housing. My steering wheel was like that, going straight. I put the hazards on, and after this tight right-hand corner section in the infield part, after the triple right, the car sort of got jammed by the wheel in the wheelhouse on the tarmac.
Okay.
I don't know how, but it caused me to stop, and I couldn't do shit. I was starting to fire it up again, but yeah, that was just too quick, everything. I tried to let everyone by, but unfortunately it didn't work out as I hoped it would. And I just looked in the mirror and saw cars coming, and I was like, oh, please not. Yeah, what I remember after that, I don't remember going back to the pits, so that's all gone. I've seen the live stream of me walking back. I don't remember that. Then I got back to the box and I was asking the same stuff all over and over again. Like, what happened? Is the car dead? Yes or no? What happened? They told me 5 minutes after, all again. And that's when they said, all right, we're going to go to the hospital. No, first to the medical center. And in the medical center, they told me he's pretty much all good, but we have to do a CT at Rimini Hospital. And then I got put in the ambulance, and yeah.
And then we caught up later on that evening, where I've never seen anybody whiter than a ghost like this man here was. But still, you did the professional thing, which was you came along, you said hi to everybody, which I have to admire. Because it's not easy, as you can see, when you take, I mean, like I've had sports injuries before. I mean, I tore my patella tendon behind my left kneecap when I was 16 years of age. I cannot remember anything apart from when it happened, because I did a jump kick and knee went one way, foot went the other. After that, I do not remember anything, and that's due to trauma. It's due to stress, that's due to adrenaline. So you can understand from what Levin's just communicated there that, yeah, it's a pretty, like, literally your brain gets rattled.
Yeah, it was 25 Gs.
Yeah, and which is, I mean, if anyone might remember Kimi Raikkonen's accident at the 2014 British Grand Prix on the Hangar Straight, he hit the right-hand side of the bridge after being contacted. 57 Gs. So what these people are going through, if it's a hard hit, it's a hard hit, and that's why the medical centre did the right thing and referred Levin to go to the Rimini Hospital for a CT scan. Motorsport is dangerous, as both of us have said here in this episode, And it is more the case that you can only do the right thing, get checked out, because you never know what might be. It could have been even worse than that. But you were all medded up, and you still came along, and it was good to see, because it shows that even though it's an incredibly competitive Class 21 in Open GT, and I'm sure we're going to see the same this year from Portimao onwards. The Porsche Motorsport family is a family. It doesn't matter which one of the 35 different Sprint Challenge or Carrera Cups there are across the globe. We are all part of the same family. We all look out for one another, and that's the main thing, isn't it, Levin?
Yeah, I mean, I first and foremost wanted to come to see my team, of course. They were all worried, and I just wanted to show up and say, look at me, I'm all good. And thank you for thinking and caring about me. Yeah, I just thought that would be the right thing to do, and not be alone in the hotel room just thinking about what happened and what happened not, and what I can remember and what I can't remember. Yeah, the first things there's like sort of some scenes from the hospital that like somewhere in the back of my head pretty surely are saved, but yeah, the first things that I remember is coming back to the track in the car, and yeah, just being at this trophy ceremony.
I mean, now that you're really, I mean, obviously now being aligned with the Mark Porsche as a racing driver and as a German driver as well, who's an FIA silver rank driver no less at just 21 years of age, it must be a pretty good feeling that to be able to drive these wonderful machines. And I had a wonderful 3-lap passenger ride around Misano with Rod Christie on the Thursday. Big thank you to Florian and Rod and Matteo Malicelli for setting that up. They are wonderful machines, but one of the things that I found out when on lap 2 out of 3, after Rod had done the 4-lap Michelin warm-up cycle, before I then got literally found out where my ribcage was on my body, the amount of speed and the amount of ferocity on the brakes, because for those that are wondering why a Porsche GT3 Cup car does not have carbon ceramic brakes, well, it doesn't work in the application. And also, it's more cost effective for drivers like Levin, who, at the end of the day, Levin, you're 21 years of age, you're having to try and find sponsors, aren't you, to help you race. And that's what we're finding. Motorsport is not what it was back in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, where there was an abundance of money where sponsors would throw themselves at drivers. Now it's drivers like Levin who are using social media as a tool, going out, trying to get sponsors to get sponsorship, and it is not easy. But what is the biggest thing that, if anyone gets the opportunity to get a passenger ride in one of these 992.1 Cup cars, would you like to say, what would you say to them beforehand, like saying, you're going to enjoy this, but...
Pretty much how late you can tap on the brakes with slicks.
Yeah. Like, literally, I think, what was it? When I did the feature for Alpha Live, when we did the stream for Misano, we were doing 240 kph through, 240, 245 through Curva Misano. No, Curvone, which is right at the top, and that's the triple right before the double right into Curva del Caro, which is turn 14. And then I noticed on the indicated speedometer on the LCD that you guys have in front of the steering wheel that we were doing 258 kilometers an hour. Folks, that's close to 170 miles an hour, hard on the brakes, into turn 13. My ribcage, my back, my heart, I think nearly could have gone through that windscreen if I wasn't...
That's not even like a harder braking zone.
No.
Because you still have some steering angle, you have to be careful on the brakes. Really hard one is Hockenheim before the Parabolica. You come flying there with 264, I think, was max speed with the Cup car. Cup car goes a bit higher since it's not that much aero based than the R. But you come flying there and then you tap the brakes at 150 meters before turning in, and that's not a lot. I mean, walk 150 meters.
Yeah.
It's
That
not
and you're all the way down from 6th to 1st. You're right all the way down the gearbox.
from 260.
Yeah, yeah. So, like, literally, you're talking you're talking about 120 miles an hour for those that don't understand kph. That's 120 miles an hour in 150 meters. You do the math on that one. I mean, obviously, Hockenheim is pretty much the closest track. It's basically your home track, isn't it? Or is what's the apart from Hockenheim? Can you give me, outside of Baden-Württemberg, what are your top 3 favourite tracks to race at? And I'll do this as a double-sided, because obviously you mentioned about sim racing. I know you use that as a tool to get yourself ready for race weekends. Where you've raced so far in your career, which is, I think, how long have you been racing for? I think it's, what is it, 3?
Yes, one year now.
Just over a year, so...
Just last season, and the 3 came in race weekends 24. So
okay, so let's
1.5.
Let's call it 18 months. So over the last 18 months, out of the tracks that you've raced at in real life, what would you say are your top 3 favourites in no particular order? And then after that, your top 3 tracks to race on when you're on the sim rig.
All right, so I think you can think of what I'm gonna name as my favorite one. It's Mugello, like my dad. It's just incredibly fun to drive, and I'm very eager to drive there with the GT3R, since fast corners, up and down, the aero is gonna help you there. And yeah, so Mugello, definitely my favorite one. I'm gonna have to say 4 because
okay, yeah. Be greedy.
Yeah.
Racing drivers normally are.
Next, probably Spa.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Spa is amazing. For 3, I'd say Misano. It's just fun. You just throw the car around a lot. It's a nice layout, especially since they drove it backwards. I would really be interested in driving it backwards. And 4, I'd say Red Bull Ring, because of all the environment. You've got like this pretty mountain scenery. When you're in the race, you can't look after that stuff. But if you're like on a track day just testing, and you look up there and you see all that mountains and those nice forests and the snow caps on the mountains, and that's just beautiful racing there. And it's just in very good shape since Formula 1 is still there. Same for Spa and Misano too. Mugello as well. There are some tracks like Oschersleben, Hockenheim, Estoril, where I've just been now, that are not on any big racing calendar, and you just see it in everything. The grandstands just like rock down and all that stuff. So that also comes into my rating. Like welcome, I feel there, and how I like everything around it. And I think Mugello, Spa, Misano, and Red Bull Ring would be my top 4.
Okay. Now let's go to the sim racing world. Top 3 or top 4 choices, please, for sim racing, whether it's on R Factor 2, Assetto Corsa Competizione, or iRacing. What are your 4 favourite tracks?
I mostly use iRacing. Yeah, of course, Nordschleife. No question. Probably gonna be the favorite when I'm driving there in real life.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna go for Spa again. Spa is just fun. It's flowing, and Mugello. It's just Spa and Mugello are just superior.
I like the consistency on that, and if I'm honest with you,
And Bathurst.
Mount.
But I won't do that in real life.
No, get well soon, Ralph Aaron, after what happened this weekend. And I'm going to say something here. I mean, he's now got 2 fractures in his back. He's okay. He's actually made a statement that he doesn't want to assign blame to anybody on the incident, but he wants to make sure that something like that does not happen again. Which I have to say, for someone of his age and who's only just started doing sports car racing, and when he was with 2 very, very well entrenched Mercedes works drivers, 2021 DTM champion Maxi Goetz, and of course Luigi Auer, the nephew of ex-Formula 1 driver ex-Scuderia Toro Rosso team boss, Gerhard Berger. And the thing is that I think in some respects for a professional like that, Levin, to come out and say that, not assign blame to anybody, but wants to make sure that something like that does not happen again. Because I remember seeing it on social media. It got shared by quite a few of my commentator friends and racing driver friends, and like literally it happens through at the edges, the car's ablaze, and I was just like thinking, okay, a lot to take in there, a lot you could pick apart, but I think the way that Ralph has dealt with the situation in a professional manner, I think is exactly the right way a racing driver should do it, than assign blame to anybody. Of course, yes, he was part of the accident, and it was a big one. Craft Bamboo Initial D Tribute AMG is a shadow of its former self. The front end absolutely ripped to shreds. It just goes to show that in some day and age, we do have some drivers in top tier motorsport who will not be named that are very, very outspoken, but at least it's nice to see something refreshing like someone like Ralph Aaron to come out with actually, I think, a very, very professional standard response than, as I said, throwing somebody under the bus. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, it was the same for me. That was a really hard hit that he got there. And I watched most of the race, but that happened towards the end, and I missed it since it was really late here. But there were other accidents, like same with the kangaroo and all that stuff. And you could come again and say, yeah, why is there a kangaroo in a licensed track by the FIA? They have to meet security standards. And yeah, same as Ralph Aaron. Chris Mees just said, yeah, glad that I'm okay. The kangaroo's gone, the car's gone at 250 kph. There's just nothing left of any object being in front of the car. And yeah, it was the same for me. I talked to the driver who hit me in the back and tried to explain the situation, and I was pretty disappointed to be blamed by a grown man for something I couldn't avoid, because as a race car driver, you always want to bring the car back. That's something I got accused of. I should have put the car on the side and let the marshals bring it. But since there's an endurance race coming up like 1 hour later, and the car needs to be fixed quickly and it has to cool down since everything's hot, the boys can't work on it, that all takes time, and you don't want to compress that time even more with putting it on the side. And no hate to Italians, but Italian marshals are not the fastest in terms of bringing your car back to the pits. They always take their time, is at the airport with the luggage or bringing your car back.
You wanna know something funny?
Yeah.
Same with hire cars.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention the hire car company, but it's a very, very well-known one. So I reserved myself, like, say, a mid-range compact hatchback. So I ended up with a VW Golf TDI DSG. And I think this is on the Wednesday of the race week. So I thought, nice, easy travel day. So I land at Bologna. I think it was, Bologna. And then pick up the hire car. But the lady at the front desk told me car should be ready in about 20 minutes. It's just being prepared. So when you come out of the airport, you've got to walk down the long path to the car park area, which I've never seen anything like that, where there is not enough room to swing a cat, let alone have about 300 plus hire cars in one small area. So I go to the office and I said, I'm showed my rental agreement. Yep, not a problem at all. I said, well, the lady at the front desk said that the car will be ready in about 20 minutes. No, sir, car is ready now. Takes me over to it. I check it over. A little bit dirty on the outside. I was like, you know what? As long as it's clean on the interior, that's fine by me. I've got full coverage. So I drive towards my hotel. I go down the autostrada on the tolls. I get to within 10 minutes of my hotel. Bing! Engine requires 1 litre oil. And that just goes to show that it might be a major hire car company, but if one of their people missed out on it, so I phoned the rental branch up, There was no screen wash in the car either. So I just went to a local service station, just brought 2 big 2-litre bottles of water and just filled it. And I was just like, okay, that's €4, fine. So I then got instructed to go and okay, Mr. Goldschmidt, thank you so much for letting us know. And I said, well, what's the situation if I have to go to get a litre of oil? And I had to get the Volkswagen Audi Group specific oil. I spent 2 hours looking for a service station that had oil. And then, to have insult to injury, I get charged €37 for 1 litre. Folks,
That's just Southern Europe. That's
just,
it. It's the same in Spain and Portugal, and the people are just a lot more calm there and don't think about too much, which is good in some areas, but you won't find stuff like that in Germany.
No.
They're just very, very on point with everything they do.
Yes.
That goes in the car building branch. German cars are the best. There's no point in discussing over that. And that's just the working mentality here, and they're different. I mean, I like being there. I like that sort of just more chill vibe they bring with them. That's very good to have sometimes, especially if you come from Germany and everything's very tight and scheduled. But yeah, for that situation, that was... I didn't even think about just putting the car there to the side because I know I have to get it fixed. And that was very disappointing to then be accused of all that happening because of me. And I was even saying, like, I'm sorry what happened, even though I couldn't avoid it. I'm still sorry for what you have to go through now, since he also had 2 broken spines. That's not nice, of course, but you can't risk your life, basically, every time you get into the car. And then if something happens, you're going to look for someone to blame. That's just not a professional way to deal with it, and not a very grown-up way to deal with it. And from a man of his age, I would have expected more than playing the...
Agreed. I mean, yes, like you say, La Dolce Vita, as they call it in Italy, you know, where the food's fantastic, the you know, like obviously with Misano being just off, you know, the Rimini and Adriatic coastline, even in October when we were there last year, you know, 20 degrees, 22 degrees, and like literally we're 20 minutes from the hometown of none other than the GOAT of MotoGP himself, Valentino Rossi in Tavullia. I mean, the thing was, I was actually planning at one point to go and visit, like go there and have a look around. Because like my one of my friends went, yeah, Valentino Rossi, he's the GOAT. Yes, but he's not quite a GOAT in a GT3 machine, is he? Yet, but
he's pretty good.
He's you know
really
what?
Admirable.
I think he's one of the most underestimated talents when it comes to 4 wheels, because before he started going with Team WRT and becoming a BMW Works driver, not a lot of people talk about his test with Scuderia Ferrari back in the day, and he was quick.
Yep.
You know.
I think he was actually trying to become a car racer, but his dad told him, we're going to do 2 wheels only.
Yeah.
And but the feeling that they got, I think Marc Marquez, or take any other successful MotoGP driver and put them in a race car, they just got a feeling for grip, for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And they have basically no fear, because they do something so dangerous, and then they're doing something that dangerous, and they're like, yeah, what can happen to me?
And also, when you think about it, the only person to this day whose record still stands, the late great John Surtees, is the only man to have won a motorcycle world title and a Formula One world title, and no one else has done it since. Right then, Levin, before we close out this episode, I've got some quick fire questions for you. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Favorite racing driver?
Max Verstappen.
Okay. Favorite sport outside of racing?
For myself to do or to watch?
Either.
To watch, probably ice hockey, and I loved playing American football.
Okay, because the Super Bowl was not that long ago either. So were you up watching that?
Yeah, that was painful to watch.
No. Oh, okay. We won't go into that then.
No.
Top 3 places to go on holiday that are on your bucket list.
So I've not been there. Tokyo,
Mm-hmm.
probably number 1.
Yep.
Miami. I'm just a big Miami Vice fan.
Okay.
I just love the old Testarossa and Don Johnson with his baggy pants and all that stuff. So yeah, Miami's definitely on there. And I've been there sometimes, but I'm still gonna say it. I love being there is Manchester.
Okay. Right. Final quickfire question. Choose 5 people from the world of racing that are with us, that are dead or alive, that you would like to have an evening dinner with.
Senna.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course, Max, just to learn some stuff. Valentino.
Okay.
I think he's fun to be around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course, as a German, I have to say Michael. For the last one, probably Adrian Newey.
I like that. Like that.
I've actually met him in Silverstone once.
Yeah. An absolute wizard of what he's been able to achieve. Folks, that wraps up our latest episode of Commentator's Corner. Big thanks to Levin. Thank you so much, buddy, for joining me. Looking forward to catching up with you in Portimao for the first round of Porsche Sports Cup Suisse. Levin's Instagram handle is down in the description below. Please give this man a follow. And that's it from me. See you next time, folks. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I just wanted to say a very, very big thank you to Levin for taking the time out of his busy schedule. He's just been in action at the Circuito Ricardo Torno in Valencia in Spain for the penultimate race weekend of the Porsche Sprint Challenge Southern Europe, and I'm pleased to report he did pick up some additional silverware. Big thank you to whether you are watching or listening around the world. This podcast is also available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and so many other platforms thereof. So thank you so much for everyone's support. This has been a passion project for nearly the best part of 4 years now, and we're getting closer and closer to 75 episodes at this point. So if you haven't already, please give this video a like, share, and subscribe to the channel whilst you're at it, and also hit that notification bell because there's some great conversations coming up, as my next episode will feature a very, very good commentator friend of mine. And what's more, I can actually say this is the longest ever episode of Commentator's Corner ever recorded. So tune in for that one. And until next time, hit that apex and always keep that throttle pinned. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you again soon.